As usual, I've placed the next drawing that we're going to use in the demo project. It's called Using the Mouse. Using a mouse is pretty fundamental to most products nowadays that are based on either a PC or a Mac. And you'll use a mouse to generate objects, documents, drawings. All depends on what piece of software you're using. However, using the mouse in AutoCAD is quite different sometimes. There are tools on the mouse that you might not be aware are actually available to you. For example, if I roll up and down on the wheel on a mouse, I can zoom in if I roll the wheel up. I can zoom out if I roll the wheel down. If I place the crosshair in a certain area of the drawing and roll up, I zoom in using that crosshair as the center of the zoom. If I roll back, the crosshair is the center of the zoom out as well. Now, let's say I zoom in way too far, so I go in way too far like that. Can't see where I am on the drawing, don't know which drawing I'm in even. If I double click on the wheel and use it as a button, it does what is called a zoom extent and zooms to the extent of the visible drawn objects on the drawing. Very useful if you get lost, if you zoom in too far or you zoom out too far. Now there's one more tool that's very, very useful on that wheel. If I move the crosshair somewhere, let's say I zoom in here, and you can see there's a wiring block there. You can see the screws where the connections screw in. Now, I might want to pan to another part of the drawing quickly. I hold down the wheel, little hand appears, can you see it there? And I move the mouse, and as long as I've got that wheel held down, I can pan across to another part of the drawing. I can then zoom out and look at that part of the drawing. I can then double click on the wheel to zoom extents again. So you can see how quick and easy it is to navigate using your mouse in AutoCAD and AutoCAD Electrical in this case. Also as well, your left-hand mouse button tends to be your select tool. So if I hover over, let's say, that line there, you can see it highlight. AutoCAD has a default highlight setting, so if I click now using the left-hand mouse button, you'll see it actually selects that line that forms part of that panel layout. If I hold down the Shift key on the keyboard and then left-click again on that line, it deselects it. Just a click on an object will select it, holding down Shift and a left-hand click will deselect it. Now, the right-hand mouse button is very important. If I don't select any objects or a command and I right-click, you'll see there is the default right-hand mouse button context-sensitive shortcut menu, or the shortcut menu for short, for obvious reasons. And you'll notice I can repeat previous commands there, just by hovering there. I can go to the clipboard, cut, copy and paste. I can isolate objects and hide objects and end the object isolation. We'll look at that later. I can undo a pan and a zoom. I've got pan, zoom, I've got steering wheels, which we don't really need to touch on in this particular case. We're only working in a 2D environment. Steering wheels tend to be more adaptive to a 3D environment. Action recorder, we can record our movements as small macros if we want to. We've got selection, so we can select an edge, a face, but again, that's more 3D orientated. I've got quick select, where I can quick select a global group of objects. I've got quick calc, find, and options that we looked at earlier when we were setting the open and save. I'll just hit escape there to lose that shortcut menu. Now that shortcut menu is also context sensitive. So if I go up here to the ribbon and click on the line command, and I select, let's say, this corner here. Now my object snaps aren't on, so I go down here, snap on, select that endpoint there and come down to that endpoint there and click again. So I've drawn that line, AutoCAD's waiting for me to draw another one. I can right click and I can undo that last segment. So it's context sensitive to the line command itself. I'll just hit escape there to cancel the line command. So you can see all of those tools there on the mouse give you that heads up display that you can see on the screen at all times. Very, very useful. Left-hand mouse button, right-hand mouse button, and obviously the wheel, and using the wheel as a button on the mouse can make your life much, much more efficient when using AutoCAD Electrical.